What's going on, guys? Billy here, and today I've got a walkthrough of the EXP settings. I'm going to show you guys what they mean as well as how they work. Now, a quick disclaimer: if you are a new drone pilot, I would suggest not tweaking these just yet. Get to know your drone first, fly around a bit, and then from there you can tweak these to how you'd like. Now, to start things off, I'm going to show you guys just how to access the EXP settings. The first thing we'll do is click the three dots in the top right corner to open the general settings. From there, we'll move on to the drone icon in the top left corner, which will take us to the main controller settings. Then we'll scroll down until we see advanced settings and click on it. From there, as you can see, we have gain and expo tuning, and underneath of that, we have EXP, sensitivity, and gain. Now, today's video is going to be focused on EXP. I will touch briefly on sensitivity and gain though, just to let you know what they mean. Taking a quick look at sensitivity, this determines how sensitive your controls will be. Attitude is how quickly your drone will react and level out. Brake is how quick your drone will stop in GPS mode. Basically, the lower the value, the slower and smoother the brake. And then the yaw movement limit, this is the maximum stick input for yawing. Basically, the lower the value, the slower the yaw. Next up, we're going to take a look at the gain settings. Again, this is going to be fairly quick. Basically, gain determines how the drone will react to external forces like air pressure or wind. Now, as far as pitch, roll, and yaw are concerned, these are fairly common terms when it comes to flying. Whether it's a drone or an actual plane, you're going to hear these terms a lot. Now, I'll throw some pictures up on the screen for you guys. You can take a look at what these words actually mean, and I'll throw a link down in the description to where I found them. I didn't make these myself, so definitely go check them out if you want to learn some more about pitch, roll, and yaw. And also vertical, obviously that's up and down. Now that we've briefly touched on sensitivity and gain, let's jump into the EXP settings, which is going to be the main focus of this video. To start things off, we have three different presets. We have gentle, normal, and sport. Now, all of these values can be changed depending on your liking, but the reason that they include the three different presets is so that you can change them on the fly. Just like the camera settings, you have those four different custom camera settings you can choose from just so you can switch on the fly. This makes it a lot easier so you don't have to keep changing the values. Underneath of the presets, we have three separate graphs. The two on the left have to deal with the left stick, and the one on the right has to deal with the right stick. Now, as you can see, when we push this up and down, that ball on the left moves, so this graph has to do with upward and downward movement. The middle graph has to do with spinning the drone around, whether we spin to the right or spin to the left. As we can see, that little yellow ball is again moving. Now, the graph on the right has to do with the stick movement all around of this right stick. If we go up and down, we can see the green ball move, and then if we move side to side, the yellow ball moves. Scrolling down, we have a little bit of text. I'll read this to you. It basically says the x-axis shows the physical output of the manipulated stick. The y-axis shows the logic output of the manipulated stick. Both the two are used to control the aircraft's motors. The range extends from 0.1 to 0.9. So basically, as you can see, those values above can be changed from 0.1 to 0.9. Now, there are two separate ways in order to change the values. First of all, we can just click the little box and input a number that we'd like. And then from there, we can also take this little graph and drag up and down in order to change the number. Me personally, I would just prefer typing in the number, as this is a lot more precise. So now that we've gone over what everything means, let's go a little bit more in depth about these graphs. Now, I'm going to try to visualize this for you and make it a little bit easier to understand. Basically, imagine this is the x and the y axis, of course, and these are both 0 points, and then from there all the way up is 1. So we have a value of 0 and 1. Basically, 0 is standing still and 1 is full speed. So if we push the stick all the way up, as you can see, we get a value of 1. We're at full speed because the stick is all the way forward. And then if we go back down to 0, the sticks aren't being touched, we aren't moving, our drone is standing still. Again, we're at a value of 0. Then if we push the stick all the way down, as you can see, we're not quite full speed, we're not quite close to 1, we're at about 0.5 or half speed. But then if we push the stick all the way down, therefore we're at full speed. Now, inside of these graphs, we have two things we want to pay attention to. The first is the blue line, and that's going to change depending on the value that you input, and the next is the yellow dot, and again, that moves depending on how you move the stick, and that's going to travel along the blue line. So let's, for example, move this all the way up to 0.89. Now, this is pretty drastic. As you can see, if we move the stick up just a little bit, we're almost going top speed. I mean, I barely touched the stick and we're already flying super fast. So I'd recommend not going up to 0.89. It's fairly dangerous. There's times where you want to fly slowly and you really don't get the option to. Like, you need to push the stick up. Even if, I mean, I touched it just a little bit and I'm already going half speed. That's around 15 miles an hour, considering the drone can fly 30 miles an hour at top speed. So again, you don't want to go up to 0.89. So after I set all of my values to 0.89, I figured I'd head out to the field and do some testing. Now as you can see, I have 3 separate video feeds on the screen right now. In the bottom right is my GoPro recording my hands, in the bottom left is my Panasonic G7 recording the drone actually flying, and in the background taking up the rest of the screen is the DJI Phantom 4 Pro actually recording with that camera. After doing this test, you'll see that flying with a high XP value is never a good idea, as I really don't have to touch the sticks at all for the drone to go flying at a high speed. Next, let's take a look at 0.1 if we go all the way down. As you can see, I am almost going all the way as far as I can, and my drone's not even moving. So this is a little too slow for my liking. I mean, you're really not going to get the best speed out of this, so I recommend not going down to 0.1 either. So again, I headed out to the field with my Phantom 4 Pro and tested out these XP values. I set them all to 0.1, and this is the result. Now again, in the bottom right, I have the GoPro recording my hands, and the bottom left, the Panasonic G7 recording what's actually going on with the drone flying, and in the background, I have the Phantom 4 Pro recording from its camera. After doing the test of 0.1, I can tell you that it certainly is better than 0.89, but I would say it's not a viable solution, as you really do have to push down on the stick hard in order for it to go anywhere. Now I have to say, although I'm not going to use these values when I'm doing everyday regular flying, I do see this being useful in the future when I'm trying to get a nice slow cinematic shot. Now I find the sweet spot to be anywhere between 0.30 and 0.50. I would really recommend not going any higher or any lower than these numbers, as it's going to be drastically too fast or drastically too slow. As you can see, my presets, I have this set to gentle, which is 0.30, normal at 0.40, and sport mode at 0.50. Now as I said, the EXP settings are all about how the drone reacts to stick input. So if we change this value all the way up to 0.89, as we can see, the stick movement just a little bit up and we're already at top speed. We're almost going top speed, I should say. So as you can see, the higher the value, the quicker the drone will move. If we move this down all the way to 0.10, we can see that I'm pushing this all the way almost up, and it's not even top speed yet. So again, the slower the value, the slower the drone will move, depending on the stick input. Now if you want my opinion, I would always fly on values of 0.40 across the board and set these as your normal settings, just because they work in everyday situations. If you want to go slow, you can obviously do that by just pushing the stick a little bit forward and controlling it with 2 fingers, as I'm doing here. So just simply push it forward and you should be good to go nice and slow. But if you want to go fast, you don't have to really throttle it all the way down and floor it. You can just kind of move slightly forward and you'll still get a good speed. So to wrap things up, I'm going to go over everything that we discussed in this video one more time in this little summary section. I'm actually recording this part after I edited the rest of the video, and the reason I'm doing this is because I feel like some of the things I described and some of the things that I showed were a little bit fuzzy, and this whole topic is actually kind of hard to grasp onto the first time, so hopefully hearing it again will make it stick to your mind. Now basically the values inside of the EXP settings change how the drone reacts to certain stick movements. So let's say we make the value lower. That means that more input is needed from the sticks in order to move the drone. As you guys saw, when I moved all the way down to 0.1, I really had to push far up on the stick for the drone to even move anywhere. Now on the other hand, when you make the value higher, this means that there's less input needed from the sticks. As you guys saw, when I bumped the value all the way up to 0.89, and when I just moved the stick up just a little bit, the drone went flying straight forward, and that's really not something that you want, as sometimes when you're trying to fly in a tight area, you want to be able to have nice control over your drone, and you can't control your drone all that well when you're flying really fast. So overall, when changing the values under the EXP settings, remember, the lower the value, the more input needed. The higher the value, the less input needed. Finally, to finish up this summary section, I'm going to go over my recommendation one more time. As I said, I would recommend to set all of your values to 0.40. With this number, you're going to get the best of both worlds. You can still fly slowly if you want to by pushing the stick up just a little bit, but you also get the benefit of being able to fly at a medium speed, I would say anywhere between 20 miles an hour, by pushing the stick up just a little bit more. But again, at the end of the day, it's what your personal preference is. Me, I like flying on 0.4, and I would recommend that to someone who's new, to someone who's a veteran, really to anyone. But if you're used to flying on something else such as 0.5 or 0.3, I'm not going to tell you guys to stop. This is all personal preference. You should do whatever feels right to you. So anyway, this video is coming to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here, as I have been trying to upload daily. If you guys have any questions at all about this topic, I know it's fairly confusing, make sure to leave a comment down below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But anyway, that's about it, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.